team, but what I want to see from G2 as an adaptation is get a little bit more priority in your lane. Have the opportunity to play through Jankos to try and shut down Canyon, because I think that was an effective method in Game 2 that worked out quite nicely for them.
Syndra's out, as you mentioned. I think the tricky thing for Red is that if you ban to set up some of your picks, the option to first pick that one is so clear for Damwon, because as we mentioned before on previous segments, is that the sheer champion pool is very, very wide for both teams here. With the Jhin ban on blue, you're kind of limiting the picks that Red side can pick on 1, 2.
Ash. Okay, so Ornn is open, Camille is open, TF is open, and Leona, of course, is open.
Graves.
Graves is another one. Now, this is something that Damwon have typically prioritized on the blue side, but in this situation, okay, so they're actually going to go back to the TF. So this now suggests that G2 will be thinking about a Sylas, but they don't have to lock it in here. They could just get themselves the Camille, but the problem is then that TF Fiora becomes a lot scarier. Are they really going to give up the Camille here?
It looks like it's just going to play into the Renekton, possibly. Maybe that's what they're just panning for. Volibear is also open. Shen is banned, so that's an option. I'm wondering here if Canyon is going to go for the Lilia. It's not something that we've seen so far from him. Maybe in the LCK, if I remember correctly, but okay.
Okay.
No hesitation.
Wow.
Honestly, I like it a lot. Good synergy. The enemy champions are already low range. Caitlyn adds to that range, and it forces the enemy to engage into you. Kindred and Caitlyn have great synergy.
No, I think you made a great point there. Yamato, like, Kindred often wants people to come close to her, and now that's only going to be made so much harder. The question is, how did G2 answer it? And it's going to be with the Ornn. So Ornn will have that backline access thanks to his ultimate, and immediately some of these top laners are going to be removed from the pool. Do you think they'll remove the Lulu again, or do you think that it's not worth it against the Ornn?
Possibly. I think it makes a lot of sense to go for the Ornn. Sylas already picked, so that's not a counter. Maybe you can just go for a tank also to just have as a front line against the rest of these champions. I think the key thing here that I'm looking at is that there's a lot of AD carry bans already, and the choices into Caitlyn are so limited. Ashe is out, Jhin is out. Maybe this is an opportunity where we see some APs, but there's so much AP damage already on G2, so it's going to be tough for them to pick a champion.
It will be difficult. At the beginning of the day, I also heard when we see the Ornn come out, we know that Wunder has answers to it, but the same thing can be expected of Nagari. Do you think he'll have something ready, and it doesn't really matter how many top laners get banned out?
You would imagine that he has something as an answer. What that is, I mean, you could even argue like maybe a Kayle is in the works. Like maybe he wants to go back to the Fiora again. Like there are many things that can answer tanks in the top lane. It depends what Damwon want to do in the bot side of the map, because Damwon could be looking at a Caitlyn Lux bot lane or a Caitlyn Morgana bot lane, in which case they then need some form of front line to be able to face check, and they're going to have to rely on some kind of tank in the top side. But it very much depends on what support direction they're going for, and you can see that G2 is concerned about this as well, so they're saving their support for the final pick.
Senna coming out, of course, a Pantheon ban, so we'll see what Beryl goes for. They could also elect to go the Leona here, of course, but
they could
see.
Yeah, I think they should just go for it. Even though Caitlyn and Leona don't have the greatest synergy, I think you just don't care at this point. Set is, better synergy with Kate, but what you're sacrificing.
Top. Oh, yeah. It's set top
yeah, you're right.
It's something that Nogari has done quite a few times, actually.
That's dirty. Braum is so good against Sylas as well. We saw that in the game where Hylissang played it into the Sylas. The ultimate has very poor AP scaling, and you can block any of the ultimates that are so powerful on the red side. Braum is wonderful here.
I'm hearing a lot of positive things about Damwon's draft, with the Nautilus now getting picked up for Mickey. Are you any more positive about G2's answer already?
No.
Okay.
It's so tough because it's so polarizing what both compositions want to do. It's the same as last game. Red side needs to go in hard, because any long extended fights is something that Damwon are so good in. Braum and Kindred are so good in those situations, and at the same time they have very strong lane matchups.
So my biggest thing is, if this actually goes to late game, Perkz can 1v9. I think right now the only backline access is Nogari using the Ornn to potentially dive onto him, but with a Nautilus as well, I think that the center peel should be pretty solid. So, like, I think there's a world in which G2 can win these late game fights, but it's going to be difficult given the range disparity.
And, well, good thing is there's no GP in the game, at least for those late game team fights. We'll see, of course, what happens, and it is do or die for G2, so let's see if they can force a game 5.
Thank you very much, Shox. Of course, here we are, ready to get into what very well could be the final game of the series. G2 backs against the wall. Very different drafts from what we've seen across the series so far. Feels a lot more almost, I want to say, world standard
Yeah, the Omni Stone up in the top lane for the Ornn, as well as the Hail of Blades on Braum. So not taking something like a Guardian there, more of the Tom Kench Hail of Blades call.
And if you know me, you know I love Hail of Blades so much, and I especially love it on Braum. Obviously, Braum you don't normally think of as an aggressive support, but with Hail of Blades in the early game, most supports...
And Cheap Shot.
And Cheap Shot, you're going to be hitting hard, and you're going to be hitting fast, and this makes Braum's already incredibly powerful level 1 even stronger. And I think for G2, if they were even considering a level 1, late invade or otherwise, now is probably the clear time to back off. When you see that Braum, when you see you have Hail of Blades, there's no way you win a level 1 team fight.
I feel like Beryl also a connoisseur of the zombie ward, if I saw that correctly there. I love going down into Domination Tree. Zombie ward, you don't often really get to see it, but for how strong Damwon's vision game is, and then you add a zombie ward on top of it, the possibility of having that available to him, I think it just gets that much stronger. So I've been super impressed with Beryl and how he unlocks from the lane, gets involved with Canyon. Braum, as a champion, also does really well for champions like Kindred and the Caitlyn, setting up for that Winter's Bite proc. So super stoked to see the Braum. I agree with Yamato. Very powerful pick here, as we're already off to the races with Caps and Showmaker, trading back and forth a bit.
Right now, Showmaker definitely getting the better end of these trades. Of course, reminder, we've seen this matchup twice in the series before this game, and both times it has gone in the favor of the Twisted Fate. Now, that's, of course, just in the win column, but generally in the early game, we have seen the Twisted Fate pull ahead in terms of lane pry-out. Now, that can change because Sylas does have solid gank setup, so if Jankos wants to put some attention mid lane, perhaps he could relieve some of the pressure off of Caps.
And it's always just about getting that early flash off of the Twisted Fate, so he can't play as aggressive for the priority as he would like to be. So eyes will be on Jankos to see if he does use that setup that you're talking about, Dracos, to try to get Showmaker a bit more uncomfortable here. But otherwise, topside start for Jankos. Cleaned up his Raptor camp, did not go for Krugs, and then moved bot side, where it was an entire full clear from Canyon up into the top side, Gromp, Wolves, and Blue, and is now doing his bot side clear with Raptors saved for last.
I like it overall. Of course, Kindred's going to struggle a little bit to kill the Raptors out, but Krug's still a pretty easy camp to take. And additionally, Braum we don't necessarily always look at as having the best setup CC. It's definitely no Nautilus hook, but with two ranged auto-attacking champions, the stuns can come in pretty hard, pretty fast on the concussive blows passive, especially with the Halo Blades as well. So we'll see if they want to go for any setup there. Contesting Scuttlecrab going to be bigly important. We've said it 3 games in a row now. This will be the 3rd. RNG, where is it going to land? Will it be bot side Scuttlecrab for the Kindred? Will it be top side Scuttlecrab for the Kindred? Regardless, right now, Damwon Gaming certainly have priority across both bot and mid lane, so Jankos has to be careful here. Still going to go for the fight anyway, proccing the phase rush, reloading the gun, but is forced away. Caps now potentially in trouble, just going to get first blooded in mid lane. Jankos going to take a bit of damage as well, but now Ghost is getting traded in on the bottom side. We're going to have to take a look at that one again in a moment, but in the meantime, G2 getting bullied out of lane. Caps just getting absolutely destroyed in the individual 1v1. Damwon off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, I think Caps was trying to lock down Showmaker to make sure that Showmaker couldn't come to Canyon's rescue, or at least help him out in the 2v2, but like you said, he's got flash up, and he just straight up died. Now TP's back in, is trying to pull the wave to get the wave, I guess, in a better position. It should focus fire and slowly push back into him. But what a disaster, is now Wonder's in trouble.
Has to be careful. That's going to be the knockup as well, but no one's taken tower aggro quite yet. Gold card can go in, but Wonder unstoppable. It's already used the Searing Charge. Big Haymaker. Showmaker taking the tower. One more auto do it. Can they get it? Nagari is going to get one more tower shot. Has to flash out, but well timed, and they get the dive, and Damwon off to an incredible start.
So beautifully done there. Showmaker sees that the wave has been pulled by Caps into the mid lane. He knows that Sylas doesn't have the TP. He instead uses his TP top side to help set up Nagari and deny Wonder. Now Wonder TP's back into the lane, will pick up all these minions on the back half of his tower plate, but whew, that is some crisp, clean gameplay. Showmaker then walks back mid lane just as the wave is reset, really missed nothing, 31-28, and got a successful gank.
And we're only 5 minutes into this game, Frostgrim, but this is a big deal. G2 falling behind very, very quickly. And we look at this one more time. You said maybe trying to fight for Prio here just to help protect the Scuttlecrab. Maybe thought Jankos was going to get there sooner, but
I'm going to say yikes.
I'm going to say yikes. You want to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one, but that one was difficult. And now they're 1K down 5 minutes into the game. Caitlyn's got a Cole and is farming up nice and safe, while the rest of the matchups are definitely pretty difficult. Question is, can Damwon do anything to really snowball this lead at this point? But right now, certainly feeling good.
Yeah, they have a Twisted Fate who's going to be having Destiny relatively soon. There's no flash or TP off of the top laners, and at this point in the game, they're still viable, although Wunder is going for the double Ruby Crystal build, so just trying to make himself as beefy as possible here before upgrading it now into the Balmy Cinder. So really wants to have Jankos actually shadow him and get this wave shoved in. You can see Graves moving in behind him just to make sure that Orange stays very safe, as Damwon are actually now moving their pieces bot side, either contesting the next spawn of Jankos' camps on bot side, as well as moving with the priority that Beryl and Ghost have set up.
Two standing in the brush, though. Kindred going to spot him out. Good use of the W. Mickey and Perks forced to walk back into the bot lane. Does not quite connect on the Nautilus hitbox there. That one would have been truly wild. So it is going to be conceding another mark to Canyon. Remember, we were 15, 16 minutes into the game last time around, and Jankos didn't have a single mark on this Kindred. Canyon already getting, I believe, 2 really quickly here in the early game.
And this was really set up very nicely by Wunder pushing the way forward, but Jankos was actually spotted out on the ward in the tri-brush behind Wunder when he walked on it towards the Krug camp. So really good informed decision-making from Canyon and Damwon to help them up for that mark and get early access over this Infernal.
And massive early game performance so far for Damwon Gaming. Again, match point for them. They win here. They're the first LCK team in 3 years to make it to a Worlds Final. 2018, not the case. 2019, LEC versus LPL one more time. This time around, it could be a different story, but now that could change. Caps pushing in. He's already level 7. The shield coming in for Mickey, but it might be too little too late. Ghost just going to grab another kill, and there's nothing left for G2 in the river, but a third mark for Canyon. And my God, this man has the best RNG I've ever seen.
Oh, so powerful, so early, but things are going so sideways for G2 in this early game. You know, Caps blundering the 1v1, Jankos getting kicked out of his own jungle, multiple marks stacking onto Canyon, and it feels like it's really stemming from Canyon, again, having great push priority from his lanes. They're constantly collapsing to him. They're playing off of wave state. You know, Canyon is always on the side of the map when his laners are extended forward in lane so they can help him. They can move into Jankos' jungle, and Canyon is blowing Jankos up in this game.
And sadly, I don't think it gets much easier, because what we've seen across this entire series is that while, yes, Sylas can certainly match the pressure of TF by stealing away the ultimate, generally, once the TF gets ahead, the TF stays ahead, can start to further shut down these side lanes. And there's a lot of setup just across the map to make these really big plays.
So you can see that Wunder and Jankos are just trying to use the ultimate.
Dunk back down. Haymaker still up and available.
Here comes Braum.
Waiting for the biggest one possible. Good damage coming in. That's the knuckle down. 1 stack, 2 stack, 3 stack. Looking for 4. That's the Hail of Blades, baby. He's just so fast. Beryl gonna get it. Caps though now coming in. This is going to be big, but Nagari waiting off to the side. Canyon now can step forward. They're not willing to concede anything here on the top side. Damwon Gaming, like a surgical knife, just so precise in these plays.
Yeah, and Perks just ticked over into level 6 from picking up experience onto the mid wave, so was only level 5, unable to use the Sentinel ult cross map to help out Wunder up there. But you can see that Damwon are just reading G2 like a book. They see that the only opportunity that they would have is if Jankos went for a topside gank, Beryl resetting possibly for scuttle control, as you can now see that Canyon and Beryl are duking Jankos and Caps for it. But right on time for that top lane gank, turning it all around.
Insanely dominant right now from Damwon Gaming. Canyon walking away for now. The stun will connect. Canyon forced to flash away. Keep in mind, the entire time we've been talking, the entire time G2 have been forcing play after play on the top side of the map, Caitlyn has been bot side. 47 stacks left to count down on the Cole. That's 3, I believe, solo plates going over to Ghost. So whatever clock you thought Caitlyn was going to play on, she is about 5 to 10 minutes ahead of that. She is going to be absolutely insanely powerful.
And that's the thing that we have to talk about, Drake, is, you know, G2 fans, they see that G2 got the Herald, that they're still skirmishing, that maybe in the extended skirmish that maybe they got something better, but I'm aligned with you. I see Caitlyn picking up now another plate to her name, and I'm like, it doesn't matter if you got that Rift Herald. This Caitlyn is going to be massive. She's going to be ahead of the clock. She's going to be that canyon that they can pick up and start moving around to more lanes.
Rift Herald gets you 2, maybe 3 plates, Roscoe. This man just got 4 by himself. And that's the thing, I get it, G2, you're behind, you have to gamble. You know, this is the thing, decisions you have to make to try and come back in the game, but Damwon Gaming, they're not letting anything get through. They're not letting G2 get away with any plays. And right now, it feels like they have this team figured out. A team that 3-1'd them, I'll be honest, pretty effortlessly last year. Game 2 was the only one, and Caps was playing Renekton mid, where it really looked shaky. To turn it around like this in a year's time, Damwon Gaming unleashed on the Rift right now.
Yeah, and I think it does start with their jungler, even though as we look at the total gold, it's all of the laners that are doing really well, but just how beautifully the laners play around Canyon and Canyon with his laners, and it just looks very different and very disjointed when you compare Jankos and G2 style. But still a lot of game left to play, even though a massive gold lead has opened up in favor of Damwon. 4K at 10 minutes is very large.
And getting closer to 3K as some of these waves get picked up, but still brutal. And definitely not where G2 want to be. Mickey and Perkz, though, caught out here. The immediate setup, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the stacks. Instead, they're focusing on Perkz, but that's Showmaker over the wall. That's the stun card. Perkz does not have the damage that he needs. Caitlyn coming in with the ult just to finish the job. Mickey running for the hills, but I think they can keep this fight going. That's going to be the stolen ult taken back. Canyon, Lamb's respite, buys himself a bit of time. Jankos now on the retreat. Showmaker stepping forward with that gold card. All of G2 has to leave, but now it is a 4K gold lead. Now it is Damwon Gaming winning literally everywhere on the map.
Now, G2 looking to maybe skirmish and get something back into the mid lane, but nope, white flag comes out, they pull the backs. That's now Ghost getting every single plate into the bot lane. You can see the pieces of the Infinity Edge are there. He's certainly going to have it on this next back, as well as the kill pickup. Oh, he's about to be huge. Great vision trap set up from Damwon to start this one out, knowing that Perkz and Mickey, since they had push priority, would probably cheat towards the mid lane. Then right on time, Destiny into the back line. Ghost has already lined up the ultimate with the vision granted by Destiny, picks up that kill, and then continues to push away while the rest of G2 run for the hills.
And this is not the game that people were expecting. When you talk about this series, yeah, maybe you thought Damwon favored, yeah, maybe you thought G2 favored, but unless you were Twitter, you weren't expecting a 3-0 on either side. You were expecting close. You were expecting 45-55, maybe if you're feeling generous, 40-60 in every single game, but it feels like Damwon Gaming have just been outperforming today. G2, normally the team that feels like they can always be trusted to rally when it matters most, are falling flat here in match point.
So now the handshake across map as G2 commit everything towards the top side with the Herald, even pulling Caps' teleport here to try to force this one down. It does mean access into the mid lane for Damwon. You can see Caitlyn is already hitting that, and we'll see if Perkz and Mickey get something back.
Oh, snare connects. Caught out under the tower. Beryl tanking for as long as humanly possible to try to keep him alive. Ghost's gonna flash into safety, and he manages to make it out. Big ult! Does not connect. Oh, Damwon Gaming. G2 surely thought they had the shutdown there, but they do manage to make it out to safety. Now it's Nagari over the wall to kill Jankos as well. And it just goes from bad to worse. G2 holding on to hope, most certainly, but this is dire, dire straits.
Beryl is a goddamn hero. Just give him the MVP already.
Beryl is out of control, Fresco. You're completely right. This is clean dive. Well played. And this is, again, G2 going to try to fish for what they can, but gold card, Mickey waiting as long as he can so he can input buffer the hook. Doesn't look like he's going to get a chance to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stun there. Forced to ult back behind him, but still they're going to push forward for the kill. The Q going through, but will not connect. Caps off to the side. This could be big. Not a lot of great ultimates to steal, though.
I think a minion just saved Mickey's life right there. I think it caught Beryl's Q. I'd have to see the replay of it as here comes Caps. The
Now
desperation flank.
Decent ulti across, but they're going to grab the plate anyway.
I mean, if Caps connects right there, that ultimate potentially kills them, and that's the turnaround. But good defensive response again from Damwon. They now just need to reset, spend a lot of this gold that they've picked up. You can see that Ghost probably wants to stay in lane, even though his health bar is not very healthy to pick up the last 4 CS. His Perkz is like, yeah, you're going to have to wait, buddy. You're going to have to wait for it to push to you before you can stack that coal.
There it is. Oh, it's brutal. It's a 5K lead. Insanely one-sided. But it feels like Damwon have just outclassed here in this early game. They set themselves up for that success, and this is always going to be a hard game. When we saw the draft for G2, it was going to be a little bit difficult, but Damwon have been out executing, and G2, sadly, every punch they've thrown has fallen flat. 7-0 the kill score.
And one of the issues that G2 have at this position is that, you know, normally you'd kind of break down what can we play through, what setup, what options do we have, and because everyone's kind of in between random item breakpoints, it's still relatively difficult as we take another look at the replay and see Canyon chase down Wonder and kill him behind 2 towers.
Yeah.
But, you know, you've got Armura Mana and the start of lethality on Perkz. You have the frozen hose on Caps.
Yeah. And Vedius talked about, hey, look, even if Damwon get ahead, if we go late enough. But the thing is,
you gotta really buckle it.
Yeah, he's not gonna be happy if I just say that without context, so let's make it clear. It's gonna be really late. They have Ornn. They have the Ornn items. There's so much just innate gold value that comes from G2 just existing longer in this game, but it is a hard thing to do. It is hard to survive. It is hard to not give up any greater advantages. You can see Mickey barely even stepping forward, losing half of his health there in the trade.
ugh, just gonna ult for the damage. You might as well use it every time it's off of cooldown and use it to poke on this Caitlyn right now. It is relenting. And they have the dragon. It just gets worse the longer you look at it. The dragon spawning in 2 minutes. Damwon already got the first two. G2 are going to have to throw everything. They need something crazy. They need like a ridiculous flank, a ridiculous skirmish, outmatch. Like,
it's a miracle.
This Herald's going to get used on an inner tower.
We got 4 marks coming from Canyon already. That's big. 575 attack range. We talked about it. Very crucial, especially in this matchup, especially against a lot of short-range champions. It's a difficult one. But again, G2 are the team that always seem to pull it off when it matters most. That always seem to find those big miracle moments, even in the midst of a chaotic game, even in the midst of difficult games. We'll see if they can do it one more time here up against Damwon Gaming.
Resets coming in for Ghost and Barrel, so right on the clock for the 115 spawn for Ocean. At this point, G2 need to like hard shove down mid as quickly as possible, then hopefully move in. There's only a single control ward in their inventory on perks, and if they want to try to contest this third dragon, it wouldn't be the death sentence for them, because obviously it's not the soul, but would set them up for soul. But either they decide that they want to make a pick as the dragon spawns, which I think they're too late to do, or they're just going to try to funnel as much gold as possible. They've got maybe 6 minutes to do so before the final team fight will come in.
And it's just brutal. The thing about this game is that while G2 tried on the top side, and if they had won those plays, it would have felt pretty even because Ghost would have gotten a lot of gold back. But because they didn't, Ghost now being 3K ahead, he's at 2 items. He's skipped, we talk like power trough, power spike, obviously people love it. It's a great buzzword, but
he's ahead of the clock.
We've skipped it entirely. There's no trough because he's so far ahead of the clock. He's going to be 3 items before perks really even finishes 2 full items.
He has, you know, quote unquote, perfect CS, if you will.
Oof.
Looking close to 170 at 17 minutes. It is.
Yeah, 10 per minute, definitely the target for all pros.
And I thought that G2 might give this one away, but it looks like they're setting up to try to fight for it. There's the pick.
Already the ulti has been used, or the E rather, from Brahms coming in, so now they can throw it back with a good ultimate. That's a good kickoff to the fight. G2 though backing off. They have to be happy with a single pit. Nagari running forward. Flash is up and available. Flash facebreaker into the ult is an option. Damwon Gaming though, just gonna back away, not looking to push it any further.
Yeah, so the single pick there for G2, obviously going to feel good, although it is only on Barrel, and still Damwon will get what they came for, which is setting themselves up for this soul. It'll be, what, 22 minutes? 22-minute 30 for the soul. That will be it. That is the finish line for G2 to have a chance in this series. This could potentially be their swan song here for their 2020 season. As here comes the Rift Herald, and that will take a huge chunk with the Caitlyn behind you, possibly this inner mid tower.
There's a lot of questions coming to this series. Damwon Gaming, they proved themselves in groups. We'll hold that thought because Wonder now in trouble, pulled back and taken down. That's going to be 1 tower. Damwon Gaming could look to force a second one here. The delayed snare now coming out. Caps off to the side, but that's going to be the next tower. Leaping forward. Yanko's taken out. Caps off to the side, but the team can just turn and collapse. Mickey and Perks in no position to contest. Caps will just blast Cone out to safety, but they're just going to break the inhibitor. It's 18 minutes into the game and a match point. Damwon Gaming are obliterating G2.
They are giving them the Coup Tigers special, the Rock special, the Longzhu special. They are destroying them.
G2
they're gonna end the game.
Getting taken out. 18 minutes and 30 seconds, and this is not the way that Europe expected it to go. The greatest team Europe has ever produced falling flat here in Game 4. Damwon Gaming look ready to end, but can Wonder and Caps hold on? It's the double kill for Nagari. They're pushing forward. Caps holding on for dear life. Yankos wants to hold on. The health bars are low. The shutdowns can come through. Maybe, just maybe. G2 trying to hold on to hope. Damwon Gaming, though, set their sights on the Nexus. Damwon Gaming set their sights on the final. They look to G2. They take their time with it, but they sweep aside the LEC, and for the first time in 3 years, the LCK will advance to the World Final.
G2 must be shell-shocked right now.
I'm shell-shocked.
They just got rocked.
Fastest game in World's history. Damwon Gaming are not the LCK. Damwon Gaming are a cut above. They are not Gen G. They are not DRX. But they are here to play, they are here to fight, and next weekend they will be here to take a shot at hoisting the Summoners Cup.
They are the future of the LCK though, and the future looks very bright as the salt in the wound mimicking G2's victory dance right there. That was point taken, Damwon. You wanted to obliterate G2? You did. The European Kings have been ripped in half.
LCK killers no more. G2 still an incredible record, no doubt. but not the worlds that they were hoping for. Not the 0-3 finals meme, no chance to joke about that one. It's the 3-1 finish for Damwon. And it's sad, of course, for the LEC and as an LEC caster to see G2